I'm going to ask your indulgence. On Monday, my father would have been 91 years old. He died about a year ago, on July 28th. I'm going to ask you, how are you doing? And you're going to respond, I'm looking good and I'm feeling good. Because that was my dad's pat answer for 91 years. So, how are you doing this evening? Oh, come on, say it like you mean it. How are you doing tonight? Great, thank you, thank you. One of the things my dad, I think the reason he always had that response was that it always left a smile on people's faces. And so I know that we are in this mask environment right now, but I'm imagining all the smiles that are on your faces right now. My name is Curtis Reed, and I'm the Executive Director of Vermont Partnership for Fairness and Diversity, and we are going to explore vision and mission, a vision statement for the town and a mission statement relative to the Binnington Police Department. But we're going to start, this story actually starts in Niger, West Africa, in a little village called Bilma. And you won't be able to see this, but this is, yeah, we don't have, actually, can we turn the lights off? I think there might be enough just natural light coming in. So this is a photograph of a sand dune that's about 1/4 mile high, and it's in the middle of the Sahara Desert. My former life, I spent 18 years as an expatriate. 12 of those years I spent in the Sahara Desert. My job was resuscitating the economies of oases. So I traveled from one oasis to another oasis, talking about dates and palm oil and sorghum and any number of other items. One evening, I went to the top of a dune, and this well digger told me the fascinating story of how, oh, actually, I'm going to put this down. That's me. So a well digger was explaining to me about the economy of his oases. And before there were Land Rovers that crossed the Sahara, it usually, a caravan would come through an oasis maybe once a year or twice every 18 months. And that way, young people would escape. But with Land Rovers, they'd sort of left en masse. Well, that was critical labor because you needed to have a strong group of young men that would climb to the top of the dunes and put the equivalent of snow fences at the top of the dune to control where the sand would collect. So you know snow fences here. They use the same sort of apparatus in the desert, in the Sahara, to protect wells and gardens from sand. So with the exodus of this labor, what happened was people's wells began to fill up with sand. And oftentimes people would dig the sand out of the well only to have it fill up again with sand. This well digger said was probably the most brilliant thing I'd ever heard. He said, "You can't dig a new well by digging an old well deeper." You can't dig a new well by digging an old well deeper. And that stuck with me. Oftentimes, we find ourselves doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And what I find so encouraging about Bennington is that
Curtis, I'm getting some notes that you're hard to hear, and I'm wondering if it makes sense to, I know this isn't where we're supposed to do this, but take off your mask and hold the mic right close to your face.
Okay.
I think it'd be easier for everybody to hear you.
Is that better? Okay. So the sand-crusted well digger said, "You can't dig a new well by digging an old well deeper." And what I find so exciting about being in Binnington is the fact that you've decided not to dig the old well deeper, but to build a new well. And this process with the ICP report was a signal that maybe it's time to think of and do something a little bit differently. And that's what's bringing us here today. And that's what's bringing this a new process that is involved with community members. So there are 4 members of the, how many of you heard of the community research teams? There are 2 teams. There's one team that's working on developing a bibliography for civilian oversight of law enforcement. And then there's another team that's doing research on community policing. And if you would stand when I called your name, and we'll start with Alana, who's on the civilian oversight research team. And there's Robert. He's on community policing. Genzo, who's on civilian oversight, right? And then there's Kara. And you're on which team, Kara? Community policing. So they are developing a bibliography that will go online on August 17th of resources that they have found online and interviews that they're having with municipalities across Vermont that have been doing community policing for a number of years or that have some form of community oversight of law enforcement. And that information is coming from residents who share a passion for wanting to improve and make Binnington a better place to be. So there'll be more about that later. Well, actually, it'll be on the 10th of August. I'll do an update at the select board meeting, and then on the 17th, we'll post it up online with the town, and I think we'll find a couple of other places, a couple of other organizations that we would be willing to host this information. So the rollout for this evening is welcome and introductions. I've had the pleasure of meeting many of you as you came in, and I hope at the end of the session that I'll have an opportunity to speak one-on-one with the rest of you. Is there another chair? You want to grab a chair? You can just take it back. I know there are people here who are in bubbles. Yes. So you can be in your bubble. We'll go over some guidelines for this evening, the purpose and outcomes, some definitions. I want to talk a little bit about hierarchy in terms of how vision, mission, and other data points relate to each other. Then we'll do a vision statement analysis and a mission statement analysis before closing. So these are some community gathering guidelines. Our work is forward-looking. This is about the future. It's not about digging an old well deeper, but it's about really breaking ground on a new well, which we've already broken ground on. This is not a space for litigating grievances. Again, this is really a part of this a new process. We are engaged in a learning process together. I've been told that this is being broadcast during family hour, so we should make sure that our language is respectful. Use I, me, my statements. As a safe space, this doesn't necessarily mean that it's a comfortable space. Balance assertion with listening. Seek to understand before being understood. And respect multiple viewpoints and perspectives. Are there any community guidelines that you want to add to that or that you disagree with? Great. So our process, purpose, and outcomes. One, this is a deliberative process. The formation of the two statements, one on behalf of the town globally and one in terms of the police department, were not done in a random fashion. These are draft statements. How many of you have ever tried to do a group edit? How many of you enjoy doing group edits? Okay, so a much smaller group of folks put forth their ideas of what they felt was a strong statement, vision statement, and a mission statement. This is an extension of that process. We want to solicit community wisdom, which is why we're here today. The folks that developed the statements, we need to cultivate more wisdom to bring those to fruition. And then third, an outcome is community support for a town vision and a police department mission statements. Okay, so that we have the same definitions. First, we want to start with a vision statement. A vision statement focuses on the future and what an entity wants to ultimately become. This is where you want to be, not where you are actually today, but where you want to be. For example, the vision statement for Vermont Partnership is that Vermont is recognized as the epicenter of inclusive thought and practice in the United States. We set that vision 18 years ago with a timeline that we would achieve that in 40 years. So we have another 22 years left that we hopefully will realize that particular vision. So it's something that we aspire to. It's not a commentary on where we are today, but an aspiration of where we want to be tomorrow. The mission statement focuses on today and what an organization does to achieve it. So we have 3 mission statements at Vermont Partnership. The first one is that we're making Vermont a desirable destination for folks of color in the United States. That's part of our Vermont Vision for a Multicultural Future division. Then we have another division that works on the African American Heritage Trail, where our mission statement is to educate visitors, teachers, and visitors, teachers, and students about the contributions of persons of African heritage in the state of Vermont, starting back in the 1600s through contemporary times. So as we fulfill those two missions, they support the vision of a Vermont that's recognized in terms of inclusive thought and practice. There are 8 departments. 8 departments in town government. Each department should have a mission statement that supports the vision that the town sets for itself. Each of those mission statements will be different given the sphere of influence and area of activity of the town. So your Parks and Recreation Department will have a mission statement that would be unlike the mission statement for the police department. We're starting with the police department today, but ultimately, each of the town departments will have a mission statement that will support whatever the vision that we craft for the town. Does that make sense so far? Any questions about that?
Sorry, Curtis.
Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I was just wondering whether the mission statement for the police is going to be finalized before the whole community policing and all that other research stuff, because it feels like one might impact the other.
That's a great question, and it's a great segue into the next slide. And it's the relationship. So we have this hierarchy that we work with. At the top is the vision, followed by the mission, followed by programs, projects, activities, and tasks. As we go down the list from north to south, we ask the question, how? Community policing is one of the programs that you will find in the police department. They have other programs around, public safety, work in the schools. All those are different programs. As you go up, starting with a task, you ask yourself, why? Why am I doing this task? I'm doing it to support an activity. Why are you doing that activity? Because it supports a project. Because at the next level, it's supporting a program. And it supports the mission, which ultimately supports your vision statement. Organizations have multiple programs within departments. Those are divided into projects where there's specific activities attached to those projects and tasks. So when we start with the vision, we ask, how do we achieve that vision? And each department will have a mission statement that supports that particular vision. What happens when we have organizations where there's no vision, we find that the departments are operating out of a random sense of purpose. And what we want to have happen in Bennington is that all departments are operating out of a common purpose and a common vision that currently doesn't exist. And so that's one of the reasons why we're here today, is to provide the substance from which mission statements for each of the departments can be had. And we're using the police department as the first step in that process. Okay, this is the part where it gets scary. How many of you saw me on the very first Zoom call? I was sick. I had an eye infection, and as it turned out, the medication that I was taking for the virus I had in my eye created this respiratory problem. So it was an absolutely horrid Zoom call, and I am glad to be able to redeem myself to some small measure with you this evening. And so part of it, we had, I think we did a poll everything. And so I want to start diving into the vision statement. And if you would take out whatever device you might have, phone, tablet, computer, and if you would text CREED 552 to 22333. I might add that this technology is pretty scary. We're doing this hybrid work. We recently did a workshop where we had Zoom participants, a co-facilitator who was also operating off of Zoom, and we had a technological breakdown because the two computers that were operating were providing feedback. So we're going to go to a place called Poll Everything, and I'm going to pull that up on the screen. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a word cloud. And you should type in 3 words that should appear in a vision statement for the town of Binnington. Who does not have a device?
Sorry, it was CRI what?
It's CREED 552.
552.
Yeah, 552. If you don't have a device, I will give you a pen, and you can write on one of the flip charts, if you're so inclined. Okay. So for those that are looking at this by Zoom, welcoming seems to be the largest, followed by safe, then diversity, inclusive, opportunity, friendly. We've got a new configuration happening here. I can never be a sports commentator. My brain doesn't think that fast to be able to. But it looks like safe and diversity. It looks like welcoming is now back in first place. Okay. You have 3. So welcoming, safe, diversity, opportunity. Okay. Has everyone given it a shot? Okay. Okay, I'm going to save this. Just a moment. Okay, next question. You have to remember the three words that you typed in. Okay, so the next question is, out of those 3 words, choose 2 of them. Which 2 of the 3 words that you felt should appear? We're doing it, how many of you cook? We're doing like a reduction. So you can imagine what the next question will be. So in this row, looks like inclusive and welcoming are of the same value. Looks like inclusive now has moved ahead a little bit. I really find it interesting of all the other sort of words that are around inclusive and welcoming, like accountability, fair, intelligence, compassionate, prosperous, environmental, historic. Did I see? Oh no, it says diverse. For a moment there, I thought that said divorce. Okay. All right. I'm going to save this. And then from those 2 words, what is the 1 word that should appear in a vision statement? What do you feel is the most important word that needs to appear in a vision statement? Welcoming, inclusive, safe, opportunity, understanding, respect, prosperous, historic, popped up again, leadership, is there anyone else? Or do we have people changing their minds? That also happens. Great. Okay, So welcoming, safe, inclusive are the three most important words that should appear in a vision statement for the town of Binnington. Okay, hold on. So this is a vision statement that the town leadership developed. It says, Bennington is an engaged, diverse, and resilient community where all contribute to our shared vitality and benefit from an outstanding quality of life. So in any of the words that popped up in the word cloud, do you see any of those resonating? Welcoming was one, inclusive was another, safe was a third. Do you see a connection between those words and this particular statement? And if so, where do you see those? And that's an open question for anyone. Does this statement reflect what you came up in the word cloud? Please, don't be bashful. Great. Yeah, here, would you come up to the...
Well, I would say that's okay. The mask does not make me overly bashful. Is that okay? All right. The idea is that I think we talk about all contributing to our shared vitality. I get a sense that inclusion is sort of baked into that. I think that, you know, in talking about safety, in talking about, we have a little bit of, I feel like that's also something that's meant to be communicated, if not directly, indirectly through these combinations of traits, either the three of engaged, diverse, and resilient, or that notion of what we share, and that what we share belongs to all of us. Those are my thoughts on that.
Okay, great. There's someone behind you. There we go.
These are good. I didn't see, they just didn't address the welcoming part. So in a way, you could look at that as the population that's currently here, we want to be engaged, diverse, and resilient. But what about a population that's coming in? So it'd just be interesting to see where welcoming actually fit into, because engaged can be the current population of Bennington, diverse could be the current population of Bennington, and I think based on COVID and everything else going on, I think resilience is a really good word, but welcoming to new people doesn't really stand out in that statement. So that'd be an interesting thing to add. Thanks.
So it's something like Binnington is a welcoming, engaged, diverse, and resilient community. Okay. Thoughts on this side of the room? Is that a hand raised back there? No, don't be bashful. Any other comments? Is this something? Oh, here we go.
I'm sorry. I'm not sure if this is appropriate because it uses some words that are in there, but I'm trying to figure out if there's some way we can talk about embracing and celebrating our diversity to welcome all.
I think if we put welcoming, okay, all right, I see, great.
Okay. So first clarifying question, that's what you came up with before we came here, that vision, or is that a current vision, or just want to?
No, it's a vision that came out of the workshop with the select board and senior leadership.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
their staff. We spent about, I don't know, 3 hours or so on it.
Oh, okay. That gives me that's great
right.
because that's context
Yeah.
that I didn't have.
Yeah, when I said that it was a deliberative process,
Right.
both the police department and the town
Okay.
went through this exercise.
And that's what they came up with?
This is what they came up with.
Okay. So I don't see anywhere on there about safety, which was safe. Which was a big word. And then I have a little bit of a problem with the word all, because historically, all has not always included all. If you know what I mean, like the Constitution, for example, didn't always include people of color when they used the word all. I don't know, that's just my input on that.
Okay.
I always get a little bit concerned for that, but I also don't see anything about safety. Otherwise, I guess quality of life could encompass that.
Yeah.
But not really like safety, because I don't feel safe here.
Right. One of the if we did this exercise in reverse, and we took each of the key words and expanded synonyms that they could represent,
Okay.
safety would fall under quality of life.
Okay.
Where there's a gap is when Mary talked about welcoming, that, yeah, some wordsmithing can happen around welcoming to be much more explicit.
And opportunity, vitality, and benefit?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Any other comments?
I would just edit it to where all are,
There we go.
if you're going to me, it's that the edit is where all are welcome to contribute to our shared vitality. All are welcome to contribute. Not everybody wants to contribute, always, just sometimes.
Okay, yeah, that's an invitation for all. And the question about all, if we were more specific, all residents and visitors, that would, I think someone had mentioned about being welcoming, or, you know, this talks exclusively about those that are already in town. But if we said all residents and visitors, that would bring in that question of people will be attracted to come here, and we have expectations for them when they arrive. So, okay, so I'm going to take a stab at this. So Binnington is an engaged, diverse, and resilient community where all are welcomed to, where all residents and visitors where all visitors and where all residents and visitors are welcome to contribute to our shared vitality and benefit from an outstanding quality of life. Did we get that on tape? Let me read it again. Bennington is an engaged, diverse, and resilient community where all residents and visitors are welcomed to contribute to our shared vitality and benefit from an outstanding quality of life. How does that sound?
Curtis, I have a comment that comes in when you're ready for it here.
Okay.
To me, what I hope for in our community is for it to be really open and welcoming to people, not just welcoming to contribute, but people would feel embraced when they come into our community.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great. So we have someone from Zoom. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this says, welcoming should show up here either instead of engaged or preceding engaged. Can we talk about the difference between diversity and inclusion? I saw a lot of inclusive in the word cloud. If it would help, I could put the person who said this on speaker. Would that be helpful?
Sure.
Beth, are you able to, if I ask you to unmute yourself, can you take this? Well, okay, Beth, I think this will record your voice now.
All right, could you read her comment again?
I can. Yep, I can. I'm listening to all through my phone and I'm speaking through Zoom, so bear with me. But I did, I wondered about the difference in Did you get it? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but we had feedback at a critical moment when you said something.
We can hear you.
There's a major delay, but what I'm wondering about is the difference in inclusive and diversity. And to me, inclusion is something that we can work at and welcoming in our actions. And diversity is something that can kind of happen as a result of that inclusion.
Yeah, what I see here when we say all residents and visitors are welcome to contribute as a statement of inclusion, that everyone is included in the shared vitality of the community. Yeah, go ahead.
And I'm just going to piggyback off of that. That's why I said that earlier, because all usually is defined: race, creed, color, religion, socioeconomic. Like, it should be defined to me so that we know that we're all included in the word all.
Okay. You know, one of the one of the, I mean, if you put an entire list, we're apt to miss one or two or three. That all as an inclusive word means all. And again, this is aspirational. This is where we want to be in the future, where everyone, regardless of one's social identity or how one self-identifies, is included in the community. We also are looking at vision statements as something that is short and sort of can capture the imagination of all residents. Yes, go ahead.
My suggestion would be Bennington is an engaged, diverse, and welcoming community, or where all are welcome to share in our vitality and benefit. Because right now, we're not very inclusive, welcoming. And my whole goal for Binnington is, the way I've always seen it, is for it to become some huge tech area, you know, a brain trust. There are so many talented people here. Our arts are beyond compare. We need to welcome more of that here. And then it'll bring more attention to us. You know, it can only bring good attention. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
It's further to what the Zoom caller said. Diverse is a very neutral word. I mean, it simply describes something, and it has no moral or value implications. It simply is. We're diverse. We're all different. But if you say the word inclusive instead of diverse, there's an action and sort of a moral movement involved in this act of trying to make that diversity cohere into something that has meaning. So, I mean, one of the choices to make in this very difficult job is, like, how many neutral words do we want to have, like beige walls, versus how many words that sort of imply sort of moral decisions and actions on the part of everybody involved one might want to have there.
Okay. So what would you replace?
So replace diverse, the neutral word, with inclusive, which implies that everybody's kind of working at this.
Okay. So engaged, inclusive, and resilient community? Okay.
Yeah, I like inclusive too. I was thinking to suggest maybe changing all to everyone regardless of identity. Kind of solves that all problem.
Okay. Everyone regardless of identity. Okay, I'm going to ask Kara, if you would go to a flip chart. I've got markers up here. And if you could bring the flip chart sort of close to the, yeah, maybe further back. And then I'm going to, okay, so, okay. So Binnington is an engaged, inclusive, and resilient community where everyone, regardless of social identity,
Before she writes anything else, may I suggest something? Because my training is if you add words, you got to take some words away. And one thing would be to just say where everyone shares in our vitality and outstanding quality of life. Because we've added some other words that are more meaningful so that we can pare this statement down. So just instead of where all contribute to our share, where everyone shares in our vitality and outstanding quality of life.
Okay. So, what do we have up so far?
Where everyone, regardless of sexual identity,
Shares.
No.
No. Yeah, do you have, regardless of social identity, do you have that? Shares in our vitality and benefits from an outstanding quality of life. Does that get us closer?
I think it's interesting that I don't remember the word engaged at all when everyone did the word cloud. Mm-hmm. And even though I think it's a good word, I think that when we say all contribute, or I don't know if we're taking a contribute away, but I think we should lead with welcoming. So Bennington is a welcoming, and then continue, because that is really the word that seems to be the highest.
Okay, so Bennington is a welcoming, engaged, and then the rest of it stays the same. How does that feel? Yes. Here, would you come up to the mic, please?
Why do you add social to it in front of identity? I'm just wondering what the thought.
Our social identity could be
just identity.
Gender. Yeah, I don't. Okay, we could drop social and just
That's
put it.
all. You wanted to keep it concise, right?
There we go. All right, so social. Okay. Vision statement going once.
Can you read it one more time?
Okay, I'll read it one more time here. I can read. Binnington is a welcoming. Yeah, maybe you should read it.
Okay. Bennington is a welcoming, engaged, inclusive, and resilient community where everyone, regardless of identity, shares in our vitality and benefits from an outstanding quality of life.
Great. Okay, so let's take our devices out again. There we go. All right, I'm going to pull up the, let me see if I can get to it. And show. Okay, list 3 words that should appear in a mission statement for the Binnington Police Department. Did I activate? Is it activated? Is it on your screen? Oh, there we go. Yes. Wow, so nothing major has emerged. Oh, there we go. Accountability. Unbiased, accountability, accountable, communities. So accountability and accountable take the lead so far. Now it's community. You know, I found it really interesting that at the very beginning, unbiased was way up there, and now it is doesn't have the same stature as community or accountable. Everyone get the 3 in? Okay. Oops, excuse me. Okay, so out of the 3 words that you chose, what are 2? Which of the 3 words, which of the 2 of the 3 words should appear in the mission statement for the police department? Wow, this is an interesting transition where ethical and safe are major concepts which didn't surface in the previous one. So I wonder, when I see community, if we're looking at the idea of an extension of the community or serving the community. Okay. I didn't hear you.
At some point, I'm going to just read off some highlights.
Oh, okay. So these are from the 2 words, community, safe, respect, ethical, accountable, and accountability, collaborative, respectful, partnership, unbiased, inclusive, engaging, welcoming, service, yeah, protect as a new word that popped up. Okay, so out of those words, what is the one word that should appear in the mission statement for the Bennington Police Department? I'm saving all these screenshots that'll be uploaded with this PowerPoint on the town website. Collaborative, accountable, community, collaborative, loom large.
Seems like there's a lot of overlap between accountable and accountability. Like if those two are combined.
Yes. Yeah. And if we combine those two, they'd probably be larger than collaborative. So we have community, well actually we have safe, looks like is in the pole position, followed by collaborative, community, accountability and accountable, ethical, knowledgeable, unbiased, respect, protect, respectful, transformative, Okay. Any more? Okay, I'm going to close the shop. So the top four, I will make it 5. Unbiased, safe, community, collaborative, and accountable. So I have to say that technology is a lot smoother this time around. So here's the mission the draft mission statement from the police department. The mission of the Binnington Police Department is to enhance the quality of life within the community by achieving excellence in law enforcement and public safety, while fostering a positive relationship with all of those we serve. So what were the So we had accountable, we had safe, we had collaborative. Thank you, my brain is accountability. So do you see any of those concepts in this mission statement? What's right there? Yes, here, step to the mic.
I would say respectful. I've never dealt with them when they weren't respectful to me or anybody else. I think that's a big thing. And fair.
Fair and respectful, okay. I'm going to go back to the word cloud, but if you have comments, step up to.
Something about respect.
It should fair and respectful is what you'd like to see in the statement. Okay, I'm going to.
Curtis, there's also a suggestion online.
Okay.
This could be replaced with public safety for all community members.
Public safety.
I'm sorry, I'm reading this out of context. What is excellence in law enforcement? How is it measured? Positive relationships, high conviction rates, low crime rates? This could be replaced with accountability, public safety for all community members.
Okay, so, yes. Or should we get someone else that has different handwriting?
Oh, sure.
I'm happy to do it. I can be neither.
Okay. So, replacing excellence in law enforcement with.
You don't want to.
With what in public safety? So Don, what was the...
replacing excellence in law enforcement with either accountability or public safety for all community members.
Public safety, so right, yeah, public safety for all community members. We're just...
Beth, if you can hear me, I hope I got that right.
I think we could probably turn the lights on again. Yes.
Did the police department have any input in the mission statement? Did the police department, members of the police department have any input on this mission statement with the police department?
Yes, they did. Yes. They worked on it like a half a day like the select board did. Yeah.
If nobody else,
go ahead.
Other people first, but I think.
No, go on, Mary.
So it feels like we could, and I agree with the excellence in law enforcement, because I think for me, that means we enforce those laws. And yes, we want safety, so of course we want laws enforced, but there's a different attitude. So I like taking that out, but I was thinking that if we could talk about them being respectful to the community to whom they are accountable, I think that might be a good combination.
Like here, whoa, don't leave.
Oh.
You said take out excellence or law enforcement and replace that with excellence and accountability.
Well, I don't know where I'm not sure where it goes, but I just...
No, if we just write what Mary just said.
Just,
we're not trying to rewrite the entire statement, we're just capturing key points.
That they be respectful to the community to whom they are accountable.
There we go.
So, and she might get mad at me for this because I'm struggling with the word enhance. Enhance the quality of life. Like, aren't they there to support the community? They're to serve the community, which is down there. But are they enhancing our quality of life, or are they protecting us, or what are they? Are they really enhancing my life? It's just off for me.
If we look at the vision statement, where we talk about quality of life,
right?
That part of their role in their mission is to enhance that quality of life by making sure that everyone is safe, and Mary's statement of being accountable to those that which one serves.
Still don't feel good to me, but I guess you're the boss.
Oh, no, I'm not the boss. You're the boss. Well,
it just still doesn't feel good. I enhance.
Okay.
It's like.
Well, we can strike that.
Although I don't even have anything to maybe protect or support. I like that one, but yeah, they can enhance.
To support quality of life?
Right, something enhances a little bit just.
Okay.
To me, there's a big difference between enhancing the community in which we live and enhancing the quality of life. The quality of life feels like some kind of abstraction that you calculate, whereas community feels like an organic relationship of respect and mutuality.
Okay.
Something that I sort of resonated with me from the community policing principles and elements that the town has on its website, I thought was that it talked about personal service, and I wondered if maybe they could make space for that while fostering positive personal relationships, as opposed to a broader, singular thing, but one where these are discrete police officers. One lives on my street a few doors down from me, and we're discrete citizens, and we can get to know each other or be close to each other.
Okay. Yeah, that it's not some amorphous mass, but there are individuals. And so fostering positive personal relationships. Okay. No, collaborative is not. Collaboration was one of the five, and accountable was one of the five. So, what would a statement around collaboration? Yes. Let me flip back to that. There we go. So unbiased, safe, community, collaborative, accountable. Go ahead.
Maybe we can switch out the word fostering we could switch out collaborative for fostering, or collaborating with the community instead of fostering. One's a lot more kind of paternal than the other.
Okay. Actually, I'm going to write them down. I'm going to write down the five before I switch back. Can we get the lights on? I just don't want anyone to fall asleep on me.
Curtis, I wonder if it might be possible for the people on, there are a number of people on Zoom here, that to read where you are so far in this. or to have your scribe read where you are. It's a little hard to follow.
Okay. So what we're doing now is capturing statements that resonate with the five major concepts of unbiased, safe, community, collaborative, and accountable. And I'm going to pull up the statement here. There we go. So Kara, if you would read just the snippets that we have right now. Yes. Respectful to the community to which they are accountable, to whom they are accountable. Positive personal relationships. Okay, and then using collaborative versus fostering. Okay. Any thoughts from this side of the room? They're the eager beavers on that side. I know it takes you a little while to kind of warm up, but speak into the microphone, please.
I'm late on the words, but compassionate and empathetic is something you want out of a police officer. It's not always a situation those qualities are often in need.
So that seems to resonate with the personal relationships. Where is he? Yes.
Unbiased relationship with the community, or an unbiased positive relationship with the community. So I would add the unbiased part near the positive relationship, because that's the problem. The relationships are not equal.
So unbiased, positive personal relationships?
Yeah, because that's how policing is most effective, when you're out there in the community day to day, and you know who you're serving. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you know how to serve them. If you don't know them, you can't serve them properly.
All right.
Thanks.
So going off of what you said about excellence in law enforcement, I think it'd be really great to kind of say something like to protect all members of the community, because I think excellence in law enforcement is very important, but I think we need to define that better and make it, equal for everyone, and more protect rather than go after, I think that would be good.
Great. Just so you know, the phrase excellent in law enforcement is a thing in the law enforcement community.
Right.
Okay. But the mission statement is not for law enforcement, it's for you guys. It's for the community. So, go ahead.
Having grown up in a law enforcement family, I'm sensitive to that, and what I would suggest is the mission, blah, 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 to provide all members of the community respectful, unbiased law enforcement, protection, and service.
Okay, could you say that slower?
Yes. Okay. The mission of the Bennington Police Department is to provide all members of the community respectful.
Yeah, we haven't gotten this part of our technology down.
That's okay. Members of the community, respectful, unbiased law enforcement, protection, biased protection, and service. Oh, excuse me, law enforcement, respectful, unbiased law enforcement, protection, and service.
So how do you make the distinction between law enforcement and public safety?
It depends on what the law is. It isn't necessarily something that impacts on the public safety, but if it's a law, it should be the goal to enforce it fairly. You know, in other words, the person of color doesn't get in more trouble than the white person for the same violation of the law, whether or not it affects public safety per se.
Okay. All right. Sure.
Take out a word bias, putting it in a mission or a vision statement could indicate that there is a problem. And do we want to...
Or just, or say fair instead of unbiased?
Equitable.
Equitable.
Thank you. So my comment to Curtis was that using the word unbiased, and admittedly, that was one of my words, but thinking about it now, putting that word in a mission or vision statement may indicate that we have a current problem with that, and is that something we want to broadcast in a mission or vision statement?
So putting it into positive terms such as equitable or fair, yeah.
Right, because what you want them to do is on the positive side,
right,
as opposed to the negative side.
Yes, as opposed to avoiding the wrong, emphasizing the higher good. So yeah. I like that. Yeah, respectful, equitable, or fair, whichever folks prefer.
I like equitable better because fair means everybody gets the same. Equitable means you get what you need.
That's a good point. It's a fair point. Okay, so respectful, equitable law enforcement, protection, and service.
Okay. Great.
And then all regardless of
identity.
Identity. Thank you.
Okay. All regardless of identity.
Did we leave accountable out? They're accountable. Did we leave accountable out, or is it still in there?
Mary, you have to come to the mic.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'm gonna make you do the exercise thing, okay?
I'm sorry. I apologize to everybody. I was just like not thinking when I opened my mouth. I was just wondering if we decided to take out the community to whom they're accountable, or whether we're leaving accountable in. That's all I was asking.
Well, accountable was one of the 5 top concepts.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see here. There is the idea of community, collaboration. We have safe in there, safety. I think we have community. You want to take a stab at writing something? Or actually, what we're going to do, I think I'll have you read off of your list. And Robert, how's your handwriting? Robert, how's your handwriting? Grab a pad over here and a marker, and Kara is going to dictate. Okay, yeah, just bring that pad over here. Here we go. actually, we have a more technologically savvy idea. Alana's going to type it. Yeah. Yeah, you can. Oh, okay. There we go. Oh yeah, you can change on this side. On this side.
It's going to save somewhere else though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Are we keeping the word enhance?
No.
Quality of life and others mentioned about that?
Yes.
Keep it?
Yes.
The mission of the Bennington. The mission of the Bennington is to something.
Here. I'll bring it closer to you.
You're awesome, Curtis. Thank you. So the mission of the Bennington Police Department is to something, the quality of life within the community by achieving excellence in accountability, which was replaced by or for law enforcement. We want a statement that says respectful to the community to whom they are accountable. Ready? Positive, unbiased, but I would put that in parentheses. Positive, unbiased personal relationships. There was the word fostering. We wanted to replace that with the word collaborating. Dot, dot, dot. To provide all members of the community respectful, equitable, law enforcement protection to all regardless of identity. Law enforcement protection to all regardless of identity. And then I think where the biased was in this section right here, positive, equitable, take out bias, positive, equitable personal relationships. And, oh, enhance. We need to replace the word enhance. Pick something. No, I'm kidding.
No, I thought we scrapped the idea of we have to comment about quality of life.
What was it?
Yes, it should be included.
What?
So keep enhance. Support. Ding, ding, ding.
Support.
Got it.
Just read what we have so far. Just read.
Moi. The mission of the Bennington Police Department is to support the quality of life within the community by achieving excellence and accountability in law enforcement, respectful to the community to whom they are accountable, positive, equitable personal relationships, collaborating to provide all members of the community with respectful, that's equitable law enforcement protection to all regardless of identity. Okay, hang on. The mission of the Bennington Police Department is to support the quality of life.
Regardless of identity goes after all members of the community.
Yeah.
Did you get that? Yeah, something's needed in this second section, respectful to the members, regardless of identity, to whom they are accountable, in which positive, equitable personal relationships are sustained. I don't know.
So for the folks watching at home, what we have on the screen thus far is, the mission of the Binnington Police Department is to support the quality of life, I can't read that.
Quality of life within the community.
Quality of life within the community. By achieving excellence and accountability in law enforcement.
Respectful to the members of the community.
Respectful to the members of the community.
Regardless of identity.
Regardless of identity.
To whom they are accountable.
To whom they are accountable.
In which positive, equitable relationships.
In which positive, personal relationships are equitable personal relationships.
We need to finish that sentence off with something.
Okay.
And then the next section is collaborating.
Do you need a chair?
No, I see we got away from it. No, she's good. Yeah.
Okay.
It seems a little long. Maybe they have suggestions.
I think it's long too, and I think we should ask them to pare it down.
Great. Okay, so this is much less a mission statement and more like a treatise. So, suggestions for paring it down. The reduction, those of you that love to cook, we are in the phase of reduction.
Yeah, I feel like this is in desperate need of editing. I think it's really important to actually remove the achieving excellence role, in particular because you said it's such a theme in the existing law enforcement. Going back to your comment of digging the new well and really looking to reform what we have, I don't think that that's been done when we've included it in mission statements before, so why include it now? And by doing that, we could remove that and then push up some of the other comments. So
take this out?
Yeah, I would say like the quality of life within the community through equitable and accountable law enforcement. And then I think community's in there twice, which is weird. for one sentence. Yeah, I don't know. It's a little too verbose.
It does feel like, though, that it's important to say accountable in community, like it's the community to whom they're accountable. Maybe that's in there and I just didn't hear it, but I'm just, at least for me, it's important.
But accountable to the antecedents. I think it's clear that they are accountable to the community, and that the way that that's written.
So what would you?
I wouldn't change that, but we need the next two clauses need some verbs to tighten.
I'm going to make another suggestion. Pardon me, I'm a copywriter.
Yeah, go for it.
The Bennington Police Department is accountable for providing all members of the community respectful, equitable law enforcement, protection and service.
That's at the start or at the end?
That's the whole thing.
Oh, that's the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the whole thing. That's my intention anyway, is to make it pithy enough that somebody could maybe recite it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, absolutely. Because we don't have to say the mission is. The mission is there. So, mission. The Bennington Police Department is accountable for providing all members of the community respectful, equitable.
You're moving faster than our technology.
Sure, I can do that. I was just repeating it for those who are asking. Okay. The Bennington Police Department is accountable for providing all members of the community respectful, equitable law enforcement, protection and service. Curtis, you were asking about law enforcement versus public safety. Well, say the law is the noise ordinance, and one person's got a certain kind of music playing, and the other party has a different type of music playing, and if the law enforcement officers are heavy-handed with one group and very forgiving with the other, that's not equitable. It's not public safety per se, but it's not respectful, equitable law enforcement.
Okay. What about the idea of all members of the community regardless of identity? There's an argument made early on that all is oftentimes interpreted as all of a certain kind.
Right.
No, that oftentimes all is interpreted as all of a certain kind or all of a certain identity. And so the language around all, regardless of identity, drives home.
Yes, it should say providing everyone, regardless of identity.
There we go. Thank you.
Yes, I would get rid of community, because right now one of our biggest problems is the sense of other, outsiders, the fear of outsiders, and we really want their money. So.
So everyone, regardless of identity. Regardless of identity.
Regardless, because that's important.
Yeah, really important.
For most.
Right. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Are we having fun yet? The Bennington Police Department is accountable for providing everyone, regardless of identity, respectful, equitable law enforcement, protection, and service.
Can we look at that old one again real quick? To see if there's anything missing?
Yes.
Okay.
Shannon.
I just had a thought about because I really like this, but I think a missing piece is that quality of life and collaboration and personal relationships. So maybe we can put those things into a sentence of themselves, like through collaboration and fostering personal relationships.
Right. Can we look at the other one real quick again to see what we missed?
Yeah.
Is it still relevant?
Through collaborative.
I feel like
I think it was the personal. Right. So we have the Binnington Police Department is accountable for providing everyone, regardless of identity, respectful, equitable law enforcement, protection, and service through collaborative and positive personal relationships.
with the community.
How does that sound? No?
Community and quality of life.
Or positive personal relationships with the community to support quality of life, support the quality of life.
We're getting close to that thesis area.
Well, but I feel like we're still missing some of the key things from the first. Can we look at it? Can we look at what it was before? Okay.
So this says, the mission of the Bennington Police Department is to support the quality of life within the community through equitable and accountable law enforcement, respectful to the members of the community, regardless of identity, to whom they are accountable, in which positive, equitable personal relationships, and then collaborating to provide all members of the community with respectful, equitable law enforcement. That's just
the community is important word.
Yeah. And so the reduction up to this point, the Bennington Police Department is accountable for providing everyone, regardless of identity, respectful, equitable law enforcement, protection, and service through collaborative and positive personal relationships to support quality of life.
And the community?
Oh, everyone in the community. Okay. Everyone. Right. For providing everyone in the community, regardless of identity, respectful, equitable law enforcement protection and service through collaborative and positive personal relationships to support quality of life.
I have a couple of thoughts.
What about contribute to the quality of life? That
Because there are many factors that contribute to the quality of life. A safe community is one of them.
that contributes to. Okay. Go ahead.
A couple of things. For providing everyone in the community, regardless of identity, with respectful, equitable. You don't know who's this there's something missing there. The other question I have is about accountable. We talked earlier about how important it was that the police were accountable to the community, and we really don't say in this who they're accountable to, and I think that's missing.
That's what I said. Thank you.
Once in a while we agree here.
Yeah, I know.
So, would you suggest we add community again? Is accountable to the community for
Can we put in
providing everyone in the community? No, I think it's implicit that when we say to everyone in the community that it's the community that's holding them accountable. Okay.
I know we're trying to parrot now, but I think the one thing that you're missing from it is, and put their lives on the line at a moment's notice. Most of them are decent people that are trying to earn a living. We could write beautiful prose and rhetoric all night, but we could pay for as many studies and consultants, but we need the leadership to come down from the top, from the board, most of the board that's over on the quiet side, and the town manager over here. They need to start setting the policies and the directive, and we'll accomplish it. They're decent working families out there. They're trying to make a living. That's all they're doing.
All right. This guy here.
I'd like to suggest that we take the in the community and move it up to after accountable. So the Bennington Police Department is accountable to the community for providing everyone, regardless of identity, with respectful, equitable law enforcement protection and service. Okay, we'll try it again. I'd suggest that to remove the phrase in the community and place it after accountable. So it's accountable to the community for providing everyone, regardless of identity and respect and identity, comma, with respectful, equitable law enforcement protection and service through collaborative and positive personal relationships to contribute to the quality of life. To contribute to the quality of life.
Okay. I want to do a time check here.
It's just about 8 o'clock. It's 7:57.
I didn't hear you?
7.
Okay, it's almost 8 o'clock. What I would like to offer as a suggestion is that it may take us another 15 or 20 minutes to wrap this up. If you are available to stay, we'd love to have you stay. But I think I think we're close, but we're not quite there yet. And so, out of the interest of biology, if we could take a 5-minute biology break, come back here at 8 o'clock, and we'll spend the next 15 minutes after that to wrap this up. And then maybe we can take care of the sound. Good. So, can we gather around? We're going to spend 15 minutes. We're going to spend the next 15 minutes trying to wrap this up, and wherever we are at the end of that 15 minutes, if we haven't a completed statement, I will take this working draft and work with the police department to refine it. Okay? Great. Okay, so this is where we are. The Bennington Police Department is accountable to the community for providing everyone, regardless of identity, with respectful, equitable law enforcement protection and service through collaborative. Oh, let me start over again. Oh, I was told that the exhaust is functioning because there's carbon dioxide in the air. We apparently generate a lot of hot air. But also the doors are open and the exhaust from the cars are coming into the bay here. So the Bennington Police Department is accountable to the community for providing everyone, regardless of identity, with respectful, equitable law enforcement protection and service through collaborative and positive relationships to contribute to the quality of life. Mary.
Can we make it into 2 sentences?
Make this into 2 sentences?
Yeah.
Or you want to add a sentence to this?
No, I for some reason when you were reading it, I didn't realize.
Okay. Yeah, we'll break this into 2 sentences. We'll do that. Any other thoughts?
Instead of to contribute, which contributes to the quality of life, which, it's just a different preposition.
Okay. Which contributes to the, okay, yes, I see that. Okay, Shannon?
What about a better quality of life or an enhanced quality of life? Just, I don't know if that's too aspirational, but.
Let's ask Mia. So, Mia, you were the one that brought up enhanced. Did you cut it? Because there's a suggestion, contribute to, betterment. How about that? Does that work? Okay. All right. I just did not want to put enhance in there because I know that you know where I live. Okay. Yeah, to the betterment of quality of life. Okay, any other thoughts?
I like relationships which contribute to the betterment of our quality of life. Our, us, we.
Oh, to the betterment of our quality of life?
Our.
To the betterment of our quality of life.
All of us.
Okay. Okay. So the Bennington Police Department is accountable to the community for providing everyone, regardless of identity, with respectful, equitable law enforcement protection and service. Would that be one sentence, Mary? Yeah. Okay, so make that one sentence after service. And then, how should we frame the second sentence? So how would you start the second sentence?
Does it make sense to, it's their mission statement, right? So does it make sense to say we will?
We will achieve this through?
Yeah.
Okay. We will achieve this through collaborative and positive relationships which contribute to the betterment of our quality of life. Does that work? Going once? Mission statement going twice? All right, I think this is it. Great. Okay. I'd like to thank everyone for sticking with us to the very end. I think you've demonstrated a great deal of community wisdom. I think we've got two super statements, vision statement and mission statement. And so you should all give yourselves a nice round of applause. Great. Thank you, and let's let the fire department reclaim their space. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Curtis.